I should have known something was wrong when Olivia started taking more business trips than usual. After 12 years of marriage, you develop a sixth sense about these things. My name is Nathan Parker, and I'm a trauma surgeon at Cedars-Sinai. In Los Angeles, my life revolves around saving people, but I couldn't save my own marriage. It started 3 weeks ago. Olivia mentioned another pharmaceutical conference in San Francisco, the third one this quarter. Something in her voice sounded different. We'd been working on our marriage lately. I'd cut back my 70-hour work weeks to spend more time with her, planned date nights, even surprised her with weekend getaways. Things seemed to be improving between us. "It's just for 3 days," she said, her hazel eyes not quite meeting mine as she packed her designer suitcase. Olivia always packed meticulously, everything color-coordinated, folded perfectly. Her auburn hair was freshly highlighted, and she'd gotten a manicure the day before. More effort than usual for a medical conference. "Which hotel are you staying at again?" I asked casually, leaning against the doorframe of our bedroom. "The Fairmont," she replied quickly. "The company always books there." I nodded, watching her select a black cocktail dress that seemed excessive for pharmaceutical presentations. She added it to her suitcase along with lingerie I hadn't seen before. My stomach tightened, but I dismissed the thought. I was being paranoid, right? The morning she left, she kissed me goodbye with unusual intensity. "Don't work too hard," she whispered, her perfume lingering after she walked out the door. I watched her Audi pull out of our driveway in the upscale Brentwood neighborhood we'd stretched our finances to afford. 2 days into her trip, I was finishing a grueling 12-hour shift when I had an idea. Olivia had been stressed lately. Not surprise her. I could drive up to San Francisco that evening, check into her hotel, and have flowers waiting in her room when she returned from her conference sessions. I called the Fairmont to arrange the surprise. "I'd like to send flowers to my wife's room," I explained to the receptionist, Olivia Parker. A pause. Keyboard clicking. "I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have a guest registered under that name." My heart stopped. "Could you check again?" "She's with the Meridian Pharmaceuticals Group." More typing. "I do see the Meridian block of rooms, but there's no Olivia Parker registered with them." I thanked her and hung up, my mind racing. Maybe she'd stayed somewhere else. I called Meridian's office directly, claiming to be sending conference materials. "Oh, we don't have a conference in San Francisco this week," the receptionist informed me. "Our quarterly symposium is next month." The room seemed to spin around me. I sat down heavily in the doctor's lounge, my surgical scrubs suddenly feeling too tight. My colleague Sophia walked in, pouring herself coffee. "You look like you've seen a ghost, Nathan," she said, concerned. "Just tired," I managed. Then, casually, "Hey, isn't your sister's wedding venue somewhere near Monterey?" "Yeah, that gorgeous cliffside resort in Carmel." "Why?" "Just curious. Olivia mentioned it recently." A complete lie, but I needed to confirm a horrible suspicion. Sophia's expression changed. "That's weird. I could have sworn I saw Olivia there yesterday when I went for the final menu tasting. She was with some older guy, Silver Fox type." I was going to say hi, but they looked involved in conversation. My world collapsed in that moment. Sophia kept talking, but her words became white noise. The Silver Fox could only be Victor Reynolds, Olivia's boss, recently divorced, notorious for office relationships. The man who'd promoted Olivia twice in the past year. I excused myself and walked to my car on autopilot. Instead of driving home, I found myself heading north on the 101 toward Carmel. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. I needed to see for myself. Even though I already knew the truth, the work trip was with another man. And everything was about to change. The 3-hour drive to Carmel felt like an eternity. My mind cycled through every conversation, every late night at the office, every text Olivia had quickly hidden when I entered the room. How long had this been happening? I pulled into the cliffside resort just as the sun was setting over the Pacific. The irony wasn't lost on me. This place was breathtaking. The kind of spot where I should have brought my wife for a romantic getaway. I parked my car and sat there for several minutes, gathering my courage. What exactly was my plan? Confront them, create a scene. I'm not that kind of man. I've always prided myself on staying calm in crisis. It's what makes me good at my job. But this wasn't an operating room. This was my life falling apart. The resort lobby was elegant, all natural wood and stone, with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the ocean view. I approached the front desk, medical badge still clipped to my shirt. Sometimes being a doctor opens doors. "Good evening," I said, summoning my most professional tone. "I'm Dr. Parker." I believe my wife checked in earlier this week. Olivia Parker. I'm joining her a bit late. The receptionist, her name tag read, Emma smiled sympathetically. I'm sorry, Dr. Parker, we don't have an Olivia Parker registered. Of course not. She might be under her company's reservation, Meridian Pharmaceuticals, or possibly under Victor Reynolds. Emma's fingers danced across the keyboard. Ah, yes, Mr. Reynolds has one of our Ocean View suites. Would you like me to call up to the room? No, I said quickly. I'd like to surprise her. Could you possibly tell me if they're on the property? Right now. Emma hesitated, clearly weighing hotel policy against my earnest expression. I believe they're having dinner at our cliffside restaurant. It's just through those doors and to the left. I thanked her and walked slowly toward the restaurant, my heart pounding in my ears. The Mater D was seating a couple when I arrived, so I slipped past him and scanned the dimly lit space. And then I saw them. They were at a corner table overlooking the ocean. Victor, silver-haired and tan, was holding Olivia's hand across the table. My wife was laughing at something he said, her head tilted back in that way that always made my heart skip. She was wearing the black cocktail dress from her suitcase, her auburn hair cascading over her shoulders. She looked beautiful. She looked happy, happier than I'd seen her in months. I ducked behind a pillar when a waiter passed, afraid she might spot me. From my vantage point, I could see but not hear them. I didn't need to. Their body language told the whole story, the intimate touches, the knowing smiles, the way she leaned in when he spoke. This wasn't a first-time thing. This was comfortable. Practice. Victor reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. My stomach dropped. He opened it, revealing something that made Olivia gasp and cover her mouth. A ring? A necklace? I couldn't tell from this distance, but her reaction was unmistakable. She was delighted. She extended her wrist, and he fastened what appeared to be a bracelet around it. Then he kissed her hand, her wrist, her palm. I felt physically ill. I stepped back, bumping into a server who steadied me with concern. Sir, are you all right? Fine, I mumbled, making my way outside to the terrace. I gulped the cool evening air, trying to steady myself. A couple nearby gave me strange looks as I gripped the railing, knuckles white. I needed evidence. It was a strange thought to have in that moment, but the practical part of my brain was already thinking ahead. I took out my phone and, feeling like a spy in a bad movie, snapped several photos of them through the window. In one, they were kissing across the table. In another, Victor's hand disappeared beneath the tablecloth, and Olivia's expression left little doubt about what was happening. I couldn't watch anymore. I returned to my car and sat there, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed a text from Olivia. Missing you. Conference sessions running late. Don't wait up tonight. The casual lie sent a wave of anger through me, unlike anything I'd ever experienced. 12 years of marriage. Reduced to this, I started the car and drove to a nearby hotel. I needed space, to think, to plan. I wasn't going to confront them here, create a scene they could dismiss as the actions of a jealous, irrational husband. No. If Olivia wanted to live a double life, she would soon discover I could be just as strategic, just as calculating, just as cold. As I checked into my room for the night, one thought crystallized in my mind. I wouldn't be there when she returned from her work trip, but first, I needed to understand exactly what I was dealing with. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Olivia's smile, not directed at me, but at Victor. By morning, my shock had hardened into resolve. I checked out of the hotel and drove back to Los Angeles, my mind clearer than it had been in months. On the drive home, I called the hospital and requested emergency personal leave estimate. I'd never done in my 15 years as a surgeon. Dr. Winters, the chief of surgery, was surprisingly understanding. Take all the time you need. Nathan, you've covered for everyone else for years. Our house felt different when I arrived, like a museum of a life that no longer existed. Photos of Olivia and me lined the hallway. Our wedding in Napa Valley, hiking in Yosemite, that trip to Greece for our 10th anniversary. Had she been thinking of Victor even then? I took down each frame, placing them in a box. Not in anger, but to clear my mind, to see our home for what it really was, a beautiful lie. In our home office, I found myself opening Olivia's desk drawer. I'd never snooped before. Trust had always been our foundation. What a joke. Inside, I found hotel receipts from the past 6 months, not for San Francisco or Chicago or the other cities she'd claimed to visit, but for local luxury hotels. The Chateau Marmont, the Beverly Hills Hotel, weekend trysts, just miles from our home. There was a separate credit card statement. She'd been hiding charges for lingerie. expensive restaurants, a weekend in Cabo San Lucas when she told me she was at a medical conference in Boston. The systematic deception was breathtaking. This wasn't just an affair, it was a parallel life. I sat heavily in her office chair, a strange calm settling over me. I'd spent my career making split-second decisions that determined whether people lived or died. Now I needed that same clarity for myself. My phone rang. Sophia from the hospital. Nathan, I can't stop thinking about what happened yesterday. I should have told you immediately when I saw Olivia at that resort. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, I said, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Have you talked to her yet? Sophia asked hesitantly. No, and I'm not going to. Not right away. What do you mean? I found myself explaining my emerging plan. She's coming home tomorrow, but I won't be here. Nathan, shouldn't you confront her? Get an explanation at least. What explanation could possibly matter? Sorry, I've been systematically lying to you for months. Oops, I accidentally slept with my boss repeatedly. Sophia was quiet for a moment. What will you do? That was the question, wasn't it? In medical school, they taught us to treat the disease, not just the symptoms. The disease here wasn't just Olivia's affair, it was the complete betrayal of everything we'd built together. I'm going to leave, I said finally, but on my terms. Not in the middle of the night like I have something to be ashamed of. I'll have everything in order before she returns. After hanging up, I called James Harrington, a divorce attorney a colleague had used. He agreed to see me immediately. In his office overlooking downtown LA, I laid out what I knew. Classic case, he said, reviewing the evidence I'd gathered. The good news is, California is a no-fault state, but her conduct will matter for the settlement negotiations. You've been the primary earner. I nodded, but she's been getting promotions. Apparently, we know why now. Document everything, he advised. Bank accounts, assets, debts. And Nathan, he leaned forward, don't leave the house. Legally, it's better if you stay. I'm not staying, I said firmly. I won't give her the satisfaction of throwing me out, but I won't live under the same roof another night. He sighed. Then we'll work with that, but make it clear, you're not abandoning the property. You're removing yourself from an untenable situation temporarily. I spent the rest of the day making arrangements. I transferred half our savings to a new account. Fair, not vindictive. I called a realtor about listing the house. I contacted a furnished apartment complex and secured a month-to-month lease starting immediately. That evening, I sat in our backyard watching the sunset over the Los Angeles skyline. 12 years of marriage. Plans for children we'd postponed because of our careers. Dreams of growing old together. All of it evaporated. My phone buzzed with another text from Olivia. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Miss you. The casual cruelty of her deception no longer hurt. Instead, it strengthened my resolve. I wouldn't scream or cry or beg for explanations. I would simply be gone as if I'd never existed. Let her come home to emptiness, just as I had. Tomorrow would be the first day of my new life, a life without lies, a life without Olivia. Morning arrived with a strange sense of purpose. I'd slept in our guest room, unable to face our bed, knowing what I now knew. I called my parents in Boston, telling them only that Olivia and I were having serious problems. My mother, always intuitive, didn't press for details. You can stay with us as long as you need, she offered. Thanks, Mom, but I need to handle this my way, I replied. I'll visit soon, I promise. Next, I called my bank and scheduled an appointment with our financial advisor. If I was rebuilding my life, I needed to understand exactly where I stood. 12 years of marriage had thoroughly entangled our finances. At the bank, Margaret, our advisor of 8 years, was professionally sympathetic. I've seen this more often than you'd think, Dr. Parker, she said, reviewing our accounts. The good news is, you've always been prudent with your finances. Your retirement accounts are separate, and the joint investments can be divided fairly easily. She helped me secure my portion of our assets and establish new accounts. I wasn't looking to punish Olivia financially, that wasn't who I was. I just wanted a clean break. Back home, I began packing methodically. Clothes, books, my grandfather's watch, medical journals. I was surprised by how little I actually cared about. The furniture, the expensive art Olivia had insisted on. The Viking range, she'd barely used, none of it mattered. In my closet, I found the small velvet box containing the diamond earrings I'd planned to give Olivia for our upcoming anniversary. I placed them on her pillow with the gift receipt. Let her return them or keep them, I didn't care anymore. As I packed my medical diplomas and awards, I found myself thinking about the irony of my situation. I'd spent my career saving people in their most vulnerable moments. I could repair traumatic injuries that would have been fatal just decades ago. Yet I'd completely failed to diagnose the fatal disease in my own marriage. My phone rang. It was Dr. Winters again. "Nathan, I know you're going through something personal, but we have a multiple casualty situation coming in. Highway Pilot 6, critical patients. We need your hands." I hesitated only briefly. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. The operating room had always been my sanctuary, the place where everything else fell away. For the next 8 hours, I was fully present, saving 2 lives that day. When I finally emerged, exhausted but centered, I knew I was going to be okay. My marriage might be over, but my purpose wasn't. Back at home, I continued preparing. I drafted emails to our friends not to malign Olivia, but to simply state that we were separating and I would be moving out. I didn't mention the affair. Let them draw their own conclusions when they saw her with Victor. In our study, I found a leather-bound journal Olivia had given me years ago. I'd never used it. Now seemed like the perfect time to start. I began writing her a letter, not a bitter diatribe, but an honest farewell. "Olivia," I wrote, "by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not because I'm running away, but because I'm choosing to walk away with my dignity intact. I know about Victor. I know about the Cliffside Resort. I know about all the other hotels, the lies, the deception. I detailed what I'd discovered, not to hurt her, but to make it clear that no explanation or excuse would suffice. I wasn't interested in hearing justifications or tearful apologies. We could have faced any problem together if you'd been honest." I continued. "Instead, you chose deception. I won't ask why. The why doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what happens next. I'm filing for divorce. I've taken only what's rightfully mine. The rest of the house, the material things we accumulated, you can keep or sell. They're just things." I concluded the letter without anger, without accusations. "I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. I hope Victor makes you happier than I could. Most of all, I hope you learn that love without honesty is just an elaborate performance. Goodbye, Nathan." I sealed the letter in an envelope and placed it on the kitchen counter alongside printed copies of the photos I'd taken at the resort and the hotel receipts I'd found. Evidence that would make denial impossible. My phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. "Boarding my flight now, can't wait to be home. Love you. One more live for the collection." I didn't respond. As evening fell, I made one final sweep of the house, making sure I hadn't forgotten anything essential. In our bedroom, I removed my wedding ring and placed it beside the earrings. 10 years of wearing it had left a pale band on my finger, ghost of what once was. The movers I'd hired arrived precisely at 7 p.m., loading my modest collection of possessions into their truck. Within an hour, all traces of my presence were gone, except for the letter and evidence on the counter. I stood in the doorway of our home, now just a house, and felt a surprising sense of peace. Tomorrow, Olivia would return to find me gone. Her carefully constructed double life would collapse, and I would begin again. My new apartment felt sterile and impersonal, but also strangely liberating. No memories here, no ghosts, just empty space, waiting to be filled with a new life. I unpacked only the essentials, that night clothes, toiletries, my laptop. Tomorrow would be soon enough for the rest. I slept dreamlessly for the first time in days. When I woke, I checked my phone out of habit. No messages from Olivia yet. Her flight would have landed by now. She'd be home soon, if not already. I imagined her walking through the door, calling my name, finding only silence. Discovering the letter, seeing the evidence, realizing that her carefully constructed house of lies had collapsed. I turned off my phone. Whatever reaction was coming, I didn't want to witness it in real time. Instead, I went for a run along the beach near my new place in Santa Monica. The morning was clear. The Pacific stretched out endlessly before me. With each stride, I felt lighter. By the time I returned to my apartment, sweaty and breathless, 3 hours had passed. When I finally turned my phone back on, it exploded with notifications. 12 missed calls from Olivia, 23 text messages, devolving from casual, "Hey, where are you?" to confused, "Nathan, what's going on?" to panicked, "Please call me. We need to talk." to angry, "You can't just disappear like this." There were also voicemails, which I couldn't bring myself to listen to yet. And then, most surprisingly, calls from Victor. That was unexpected. What could he possibly have to say to me? I ignored them all and showered. As I dressed, my phone rang again. Sophia from the hospital. She's here, Sophia said without preamble. Who? Olivia. She's in the hospital lobby, making a scene. Security's about to escort her out. My stomach tightened. I'm not coming in. I piped. No, I told her you're in surgery all day. Nathan, Sophia hesitated. She's a mess, crying, demanding to see you. She showed up with your letter in her hand. That's not my problem anymore, I said, surprised by the coldness in my voice. She's saying it's not what it looks like. That you've misunderstood. I laughed, a short, harsh sound I barely recognized. There's a photo of them kissing. Sophia, hotel receipts going back months. What exactly did I misunderstand? After hanging up, I emailed the hospital administration, requesting a temporary transfer to our sister facility in San Diego. They approved it within the hour. Apparently, a trauma surgeon with my credentials could write his own ticket. I'd start next week, commuting until I found a place there. Around noon, my lawyer called. Your wife's attorney reached out. James said they want to discuss reconciliation before proceeding with any divorce filings. There's nothing to discuss, I replied. Nathan, legally speaking, it's always better to know. I interrupted. I'm not interested in hearing excuses or negotiations. Just move forward with the filing. The rest of the day passed in a blur of practical matters. One, registered my new address with the postal service. I ordered furniture for the apartment. I called my credit card companies to remove Olivia as an authorized user. Small acts of separation, each one severing another tie to my old life. By evening, the calls from Olivia had slowed, but the texts continued. I finally read through them, clinical and detached, as if reviewing a patient's chart. It wasn't what it looked like. Victor was helping me plan a surprise for you. Please let me explain. You're throwing away 12 years without even talking to me. I made a mistake, but I love you. The last one came an hour ago. I'm outside your apartment. Please let me in. Just give me 5 minutes. I froze. How had she found me? Then I remembered the location sharing on our phones. I'd forgotten to disable it. I went to the window and peered through the blinds. Sure enough, Olivia's Audi was parked across the street. She sat inside, her face illuminated by her phone screen. I watched her for a long moment. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, so unlike her usually perfect appearance. Even from this distance, I could see she'd been crying. For a brief moment, my resolve wavered. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Nathan, it's Victor. We need to talk. Olivia and I. I deleted it without reading further and blocked the number. Then I blocked Olivia's number too. Whatever story they'd concocted, whatever justification they'd created, I wasn't interested. The evidence spoke for itself. I stepped away from the window and turned on some music to drown out any potential knocking. 3 hours later, when I checked again, her car was gone. That night, as I lay in my new bed in my empty apartment, I felt something unexpected. Hope. Not the desperate hope of a man clinging to a failing marriage, but the quiet hope of someone who has survived the worst and glimpsed a different future on the horizon. 6 weeks later, I was settled in San Diego, immersed in my work at the new hospital. The divorce was proceeding without contest. Olivia had finally stopped fighting it. I'd heard through mutual friends that she and Victor were openly together now. Good for them. Their relationship was built on deception. They deserved each other. As for me, I was healing slowly, imperfectly, but healing nonetheless. I'd started having dinner with a pediatric surgeon named Rachel, just as friends, just as colleagues. But who knew what might develop? In time, the pain hadn't disappeared entirely. Some nights, I still woke up reaching for someone who wasn't there, but those moments were growing fewer. The anger had faded, leaving behind a strange gratitude. Olivia's betrayal had freed me from a marriage that had been dying for years. Her work trip had been with another man, so I'd packed my bags before she returned. And in doing so, I'd found my way back to myself.